I've spoken about pagan Christianity quite often already, so it should be clear to you by now that not everything they call Christian has to do with Christ. That's obvious. Pagan Christianity is the counterfeit Christian movement that's led by the pagans, and they do that to disguise their terror on the human population. So we know that. Now ask yourself, why is pagan Christianity so popular? Why do so many criminals, so many prostitutes, so many human traffickers, why do so many psychopaths, child molesters, why are they so drawn to pagan Christianity? And look at this also. Pagan Christianity is despised by a lot of folks, yet they support it. Why would you support something that you despise? Think about it. They, they look down on those churchgoers who are involved in pagan Christianity because they allegedly take all abuse. They don't stand up for themselves. Why are they despising and treating churchgoers with contempt, yet at the same time they embrace pagan Christianity? What is it with pagan Christianity that makes it so attractive to the world? There's one thing you need to understand. The real gospel was never attractive to the world, even though it's good news. It's the good news that destroys all the dark illusions of the world and all their false entitlements. That's why worldly people never embrace the real gospel. Those that accepted the gospel were either so crushed by the world that they have no other option than to face reality, or they were persecutors of believers that realized how wrong they are and how much in danger were, and they surrendered unto Christ. But it never happened when Christ nor disciples walked the earth that he just preached the gospel and people just said, "Yes, Lord, I embrace you." There were people that were already crushed here and there, and they were longing for the truth, and when the gospel came, they received it. Those people existed, but not that the masses, the worldly masses, embraced the gospel. It never happened. Christ said, "If they hate you, remember they've hated me first." Christ said, "A slave is not bigger than his master." Christ said, "If they persecute me, they will persecute you too." When the apostles spread the gospel in the first century, oh dear, they were in big trouble. When the first Christians back then spread the gospel, oh my Lord, how much trouble, how much anger, how much retaliation they received, both from the paranormal as well as from the world. So the gospel, the real gospel, was never popular. It will never be popular because it crushes the false entitlements of worldly people, namely their claim to um, self-sovereignty. They can will whatever they will, and their claim they don't have to account to anyone. The gospel crushes it all, and their right to victimize others. All of that is crushed by the gospel. So the gospel is good news, but it's so good and so pure that it terrifies people that persist in the negative. That's why they lash out against those that obey the gospel, because they can't control the power behind the gospel, but they can assault and to some extent try to get the grip on the vulnerable human beings that are operating in the gospel. So if the real gospel of the kingdom of God was always resisted, trampled upon, persecuted, and it was met with violence everywhere, how come that thing that they call Christianity, which I call pagan Christianity, I'm not the only one calling it pagan Christianity. There's a book called Pagan Christianity. It was written, I believe, more than a decade ago. It is pagan Christianity because it's pagan. How come pagan Christianity is so popular? I'm telling you why. It's because in pagan Christianity, you don't have to face yourself. There are variations within pagan Christianity because you have so many denominations. I believe more than 3,000 denominations. But okay, in pagan Christianity, you don't have to face yourself. You don't. Because it's all postponed onto heaven, a place you'll never go because you're designed for earth. So your attention is drawn away from the earth, from your surroundings, and from therefore also from your natural obligations towards the human community. And now you're put in a race to earn your place in heaven. So you're completely distracted from your natural obligations to those around you. Meanwhile, you make sure other people are at ease with you, so you become a comfortable and pleasant victim so that people can release their frustrations without being challenged. So you become a pleasant victim. That's what pagan Christianity makes of you. But there's also another variation in pagan Christianity in which you become a militant terrorist, in which you fight very hard with violence. Both of them draw your attention away from your role in God's plan, which is to glorify Him on the earth in the here and now, which implies overcoming evil with good and overruling the darkness around you. But you can only overrule the darkness around you if you're free from darkness. That means you need to renew your mind. And that is what pagan Christianity offers people. It's not a real offer because it can never happen. Pagan Christianity offers you a shortcut to glory. And that shortcut is paranormal. What happens in Christianity is as follows. Let's say you had someone. Uh, let's say you have a child molester, for example, or maybe not a child molester. Maybe it's a serial rapist or someone that's very deep in the negative. They arrive in one of those Babylon churches. They confess the crimes they've committed to the pagan pastor or pagan priest. And what happens is the demons then cover that individual. The legal system, which is led by pagan judges who also worship the beast, they cover that individual also. So the individual doesn't face any charges. That individual, sooner or later, gets a wife. Or if it's a woman, because you also have women that are deep in the negative, they'll get a husband very quickly. So they're covered. They get a sex partner for life very quickly. They get a job quickly. So everything just works out for them. But then they come out and say, Jesus lives, Jesus rules. And then you have many people in the churches that sing praise and say, hallelujah, see, there's God's power at work. What happened there? An evildoer or a coward just received relief from the consequences of their reprobation. I'm not saying they were reprobates, but they were on their way to reprobation. So what happened is that they were built out from the consequences of the world around them and from the consequences of their own contribution to the world. So they don't have to face themselves. That is the false hope pagan Christianity gives you. The bailout is real, but it's not salvation, and the bailout is short-lived. That's why you need to keep going to church every Sunday. You need to keep investing in it. And many people are drawn with this promise of a bailout, and many don't receive it. So they become depressed, or they end up committing suicide, or they end up in a mental asylum because they lose their mind. That's the thing with pagan Christianity. You don't have to face yourself. You don't have to become realistic. That's why it's so popular. Even hardcore reprobates out there who hate Christ with a passion, they endorse pagan Christianity, which the world calls mainstream Christianity, which is mainstream Christianity for the world. Now you may think, if you hate Christ so much with a passion, how come you embrace a movement that promotes Christ? That shows you that that movement that quote unquote promotes Christ is not from Christ. That means Christ is not involved in it, or else his hardcore enemies would never embrace it. Pagan Christianity is a comfortable house for cowards and foul predators. That's what pagan Christianity is. So to remain involved in pagan Christianity is to put yourself in danger and to put your family at risk. That's what you're doing. Wizards, warlocks, and witches, they run pagan Christianity because it's pagan. Look, I don't want to make this video too long. I've told you we're making long videos. That's why I make this video a bit long. I'm not making it too long because what I'm saying here, it should be obvious to you now. Pagan Christianity is satanic. Too often people look at those people that are dressed in black that go to the Satan's church. Now, why is it called the Satan's church? It's because it's part of the big church, which is run by the devil. So in pagan Christianity, you have the white face, which is the good side, and you have the dark face, which is the bad side. And there you're told to avoid the dark face and to embrace the white face. Now both of them are masked by the same system. There is no real deliverance in pagan Christianity. There isn't. There never will be, and there never was. The only thing you get is a bailout. A bailout that you only receive if you comply with the paranormal conditions. Think about it for a moment. Okay, I've said this before, but for those that need interpretation, I'm saying it again. How come the apostles who were dedicated to Christ, who walked with him when he was in his body, how come they face so much retaliation? Yet those today, you have so-called pastors today that preach the gospel and the masses flow towards them so easily. And those pastors end up living in comfortable houses with good salaries, the children doing well. They become like tiny royalties. How can they live like royalty on the earth? Let me say, how can they live like royalty in the world? Preaching Christ, while Christ himself, the king, was persecuted. They put him on a cross. Yet you receive expensive robes, you receive medals, you receive titles, you receive honorary seats by the same world that crucified Christ. Yet you follow Christ. Get out of here, man. Seriously, get out of here. As a real believer, you will have victory. So the life of a believer is a life of victory. It's not just only suffering, only persecution. Christ did not say you will only have tribulation in the world. He didn't say that. He said you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I've overcome the world. So there must be victory in the life of the believer. So when you see the victory working out, you know that one is following Christ. If there's only tribulation, it means that maybe it's a believer that needs help because they're stuck. Okay? But if you encounter someone who has no tribulations at all, stay away from that individual. I'm telling you, stay away from that individual. You're safer with a believer that lacks knowledge and therefore they're not walking in the victory. You're safer with such a believer than that you are with a worldling that has ease. Because with the believer that's under attack, you know something's up and you become alert. But with the worldling that's at ease, you'll be distracted by that ease. You'll lower your guard down unconsciously. Without you being aware of it, you'll do it, and you become vulnerable to all kinds of evil. Especially if that worldling claims Christ. That's more confusing. So anyone that claims Christ and their circumstances are flat at ease all the time, oh dear, avoid that individual. I'm telling you. Christ never offered a bailout. Christ promised victory. But worldly people, they don't want victory, because victory means facing yourself. It means change. It means longing for the better, letting go of the good and chase the better. World people don't want that. They just want a bailout. And pagan Christianity offers the best bailout in the world. And pagan Christianity is supported by the beast system, so all the judges all in the world that follow the beast system have to align with pagan Christianity one way or the other. The police systems, the military, they all endorse pagan Christianity because pagan Christianity is part of the beast system, it's not of Christ. That's why when you're aligned with pagan Christianity, doors will open for you in the world. Haven't you noticed that if you're a pagan Christian and you align yourself well with pagan Christianity, doors open for you? Things tend to go easier for you. Sometimes things go so easy for you that you think, whoa, God's really blessing me, but it's not the God. It's you being sucked in more and more into the system. You become more and more dependent of it. This video may sound like a rant, but I just want to remind you pagan Christianity has nothing to do with Christ. Absolutely nothing. It's a bailout system with business interests in it. That's why so many of the pagan businessmen in the world are pagan Christians, or they are aligned with pagan Christianity. Be realistic. If you see people coming together somewhere, they call themselves a congregation, people that worship Christ, but you only see bailouts, you don't see victory, then stay clear from it. God is not there. It's a hoax. That's what it is. And here's another thing that's quite dangerous about pagan Christianity or being aligned with pagan Christianity. Let's say now, I'm going to use a female example now. Your name is Joanna. Joanna, you and a friend, you attend a church. And you become friends with some people over there. Then after a while, you have all kinds of aches in your body, and you go to a doctor, and you hear that you have cancer. And you think, what? I was healthy before. What happened? This is what happened in the paranormal. There was this I'm say this deliverance, quote unquote deliverance ministry, where you had those voodoo practitioners that came in the name of Christ to quote unquote set people free. So this is what happened. There wasn't an individual over there that was in a wheelchair. The muscles just didn't work, even though the muscles were there. And why? Because somewhere one of the nerves were blocked in the back. That's why the individual couldn't walk. So what happened now is that when the pagan pastor laid hands on that um, on that individual, the demons that were hanging around that individual were told by another demonic principality to leave. And that demonic principality sent out some demons that um, changed the location of the nerve to the right position. And because of that, the individual could walk again. So that's what happened. So when an individual stood up from the wheelchair, everyone was overwhelmed, thinking, whoa, it's a miracle. People were overwhelmed by it. And because people were overwhelmed, they were distracted. Meanwhile, that demonic principality that took over told the demons that left the individual in the wheelchair, was not in a wheelchair anymore. You see that woman over there? Her name is Joanna. She's 26 years old. She has a relative that's bothering her, persecuting her, and she doesn't know what to do with it. So she's distracted now. She has a wound in the energy field. You have a chance. So those demons jumped into the environment of this Joanna. And because Joanna was vulnerable, without her being aware of it, and because she was also involved in the paranormal climate of that pagan church, the demons were able to attach themselves to her. And the demons caused dysfunction in her cells, and she developed cancer. So when she heard that she had cancer, she became terrified, and this anxiety fed the demons. Now the demons became more powerful around her. Such things happen in pagan Christianity. Someone else is built out in exchange for someone else being harmed. So the darkness is never destroyed. The darkness is not dissolved. The darkness is relocated. In the streets, they call it a soul for a soul. Once individual, which is called a soul in street language, is relieved, and someone else is charged. So being involved in pagan Christianity itself puts you at risk to develop, to receive sickness, to receive premature death, or all kinds of plagues. That's how it goes. It's paranormal. It's not supernatural. In common paranormal disciplines or religions, they're open and real about it, about how it works. In pagan Christianity, you have this facade of righteousness, but the opposite is happening. It's self-righteousness that's promoted there, not the righteousness of Christ. Remain involved with pagan Christianity and you put yourself in grievous danger. So avoid it. Agree with Christ.